Today's podcast is brought to you by Introduction to Online Business Made Simple, a 6-part audio course that teaches you how to get started with your online venture. Find out more at usingyourpower.com/course.
Hi, thanks for joining Using Your Power. My name is Maveen.
And I'm David and Wiebe.
Hey, David, how's it going?
I'm powered up, man. How are you?
I love it. You know, I'm so excited about recording today. So why don't we jump right into it?
Absolutely. Well, it feels like a lifetime away that we last recorded. We're going to take a look at 10 places you're spending your money, good and bad. I think this was an idea that you had for us.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I just was thinking about, my own expenses and, where am I spending my money? What am I doing? So I just wanted to talk about that because I think a lot of people, especially come summer, are going to be spending money on vacations or, even at the Calgary Stampede here, which is coming up. And, it just maybe let's take a look at where we're actually spending our money and is it a good or a bad thing?
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I realized about this topic is it's really debatable a lot of the time with different items when you think about it. Like they could be both good and bad depending on the timing and the situation and your budget. So, I mean, I think part of the goal is to help people spend their money more wisely with this show, right? I think, for me, one of the themes of this year has been health. So for me, I feel like that's the good spending, right? Investing in supplements and exercise and groceries. And part of that is a time commitment as well. It's not just money commitment, but it's a bit of both because you need a little bit of workout gear. Potentially, I bought some shoes. And with supplements, I mean, that's an obvious expense. You just need to take it. And there's no time requirement there. But that's one thing that I was starting to think about.
Absolutely. So why don't we get into it? My first example, I guess,
that was my first example.
Was that your first example? Oh, wow. You just transitioned so nicely. I guess the number two then would be, purchasing mobile devices. I know a lot of people love not being in contracts, right? So a lot of times people buy phones, especially the iPhone, $600, $700, $800, and they'll pay for it right away. And that the phone itself is going to lose value, right? Just like a car, it's going to depreciate. And when they are done using that phone, they can only typically sell it for a couple $100. One of the things I like to do, and maybe a lot of other people like to do, is maybe go on a contract. I know I understand the reasoning because they don't want to be on a contract, but there's nothing really wrong with being on a 2-year contract, for example, here in Canada. And then when you turn around, typically we get a free phone. We turn around and I can still sell my iPhone for $200, $300, $400 as well, right? So I'm actually making money by not buying the phone versus losing money by buying the phone, because either way, you're still going to have a monthly phone bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll tell the story of my Galaxy. I think it was like the original Galaxy S phone that for the Android for Samsung phone that came out. And so I held on to that forever. And then eventually down the line, my girlfriend at the time gave me a Samsung Infuse, which is not really an upgrade in any way. It's just like slightly bigger phone. And I held on to that for a long time and I did not upgrade or buy another phone until the S7. Finally, when I felt like I had the budget and the ability to reward myself for holding out. So I think that's something people to keep in mind, right? Like not always going for the instant gratification with a phone. Another thing to think about, I think this is a good spend most of the time, is like books, audio courses, seminars, coaching, online communities, and education. So really you're investing in yourself and gaining more knowledge and upgrading your skills to the point where you can apply it to your career or business or even just life. And, like if you read a book on meditation, then you could begin to meditate and feel the effects of that. So there's so many ways in which that could benefit you and the things that you learn.
Absolutely. Education is so important, right? I know we talk about that in pretty much every single episode, I feel, for some reason. But, you're right. One of the things that we've also done is utilize Audible as well, right? Because we can't always read. So we do utilize listening to audio programming as well. If we're in our cars, if we're at the gym, just like you mentioned earlier, working out and stuff, you don't necessarily have to listen to music. You can just throw on an audio book and just kind of work out with that. It may not be as motivating as, high intensity music, but I mean, you're still learning and working working out at the same time. So maybe just choose which workouts you listen to music and which workouts you may listen to a book, right? So if you have a pretty hard day, maybe, say if you have a leg day and you want some motivation, listen to some high energy music. But if you're going to be on the treadmill and just going to be walking on there lightly, just throw on a book and just kind of walk while you're listening.
Yeah, some great thoughts there.
So, the next idea I had was a lot of people, have to buy a car or they finance a car. This kind of came up with when we were chatting a little while ago when you were looking for a vehicle, and we were talking about financing a car or even leasing a car, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes into the same idea of purchasing a mobile phone, or having them give you one for free. Same type of idea. A lot of times, I think people do finance. I think it's a great idea because even at the end of paying out the vehicle, and let's say you turn around and sell it, you're still going to get some money back for it when you're done. Where leasing, even Dave Ramsey agrees that when you lease, you're really just throwing your money away. Sure, you may not have as many expenses with the vehicle, but in return, you're going to give out all this money to the dealership, and in return, you have to give back the car, and you have nothing left when you're done at the, let's say a 2, 3, 4, or even 8-year period, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think in the perfect situation, you might buy the car outright, but that's not always an option, of course. And if you need transportation to get to work and so forth, then that's going to count for a lot. That is another major spending category for people. Sometimes debt can be leveraged for good things in our lives, to grow our business or maybe to invest in like a camera or some kind of gear that you need to do the work that you need to do. But a lot of the time, it's just poor planning. It really is hard, though. I have some consumer debt, but it's not like it has increased. I've just kept it to my 1 or 2 cards for a long time now, with the plans to pay off one of those and just go down to 1 card. But that's a major category on a month-to-month basis, is something people are putting their money towards.
Absolutely. That was pretty much my next point as well. A lot of people are making purchases on the credit card versus using cash, right? So, a lot of times you will hear right now, I think that, I don't remember the exact numbers, but people are spending 1.3 times the amount of money they're making or something like that, right? So if we're spending 30% more than we make, it's got to be for a reason, right? So you're right. If you're purchasing something, because it's for your business or it can give you an advantage, or it's a hobby that you're looking to turn into a business, absolutely a great idea to purchase that camera and go ahead and start learning so you can turn around and start making an income with it.
Yeah.
Right. Especially if you have a business, you can write off those expenses. Very nice. But a lot of times we see people are buying, for example, a vacation on their credit card instead of paying for it outright in cash. And, the vacation ended 6 months ago and they're still paying for that same vacation at an 18, 19, 20% interest rate and still paying for it 6 months later. Right. So that $2,000 vacation now becomes, let's say $3,000, there's a lot of money going out. So it's really a good idea to make sure, you have the money before you spend it. So there is a way to leverage your credit card, utilize that 30 days that the companies, say you don't have to pay right away, but make sure you're paying off that credit card at the end if you can.
Great points. Another major category is entertainment. So we all need time to recharge. And in that sense, sometimes investing in a little bit of something that we enjoy, whether that's a movie or a video game or a Netflix subscription or something along those lines, can be good. At the same time, that's probably, if you look at your budget, it might be an area where you're overspending a little bit and you could cut back potentially without even feeling the effects of it. So I think it's something to look at seriously, right? It's not just one way or the other. It's not good or bad spending. Sometimes it can be good spending, so you actually reward yourself and remember to rest and take it easy here and there. But it can be bad spending when you put all your money into your vacations and then you overspend in Vegas or Florida or wherever you happen to be going.
No, for sure. And I do like your idea there, David, too. You're talking about Netflix subscriptions. A lot of time to have Netflix, you must have the internet, right? And what happens is more and more people are actually just streaming everything anyways but they still decide to keep their TV going as well, for whatever reason. So that's an additional expense they have. But, if we're streaming everything, most of the time we can actually just stream everything that's on TV anyways, on, either Netflix or different websites on the internet, right? So, take a look at maybe cutting one of the other, which I think is what you're saying as well.
Yeah, I think you could definitely take that approach without suffering, right? And there's so much on YouTube too, and people spend more time there than all other social networks. So,
Oh, absolutely. It just keeps growing, doesn't it? And
yeah,
I know we're on YouTube as well, so we understand the power of leveraging YouTube because more and more people are on there.
exactly.
Yeah. So I guess, the next one kind of goes with entertainment. I think a lot of times when we're looking to be entertained, what we do is we eat out. Right, so a lot of times what we'll do is my idea was a little bit different. So it's either eating out or packing a lunch, right? So it's good versus the bad. So typically when we're making food at home, we are going to save money versus eating out. It typically is going to cost us a couple of dollars to prepare a meal and then take it to work or take it with us on a hike or wherever, versus buying it in a store, which the markup is 20, 30, 40% or even higher or even double, right? So I mean, there's a great way to save just a little bit of money. Again, there's nothing wrong with eating out every so often. I mean, the business owners do need to be, do need to make money as well. So, there's a great reason to go into these stores and support these local businesses. But in the same sense, you have to look at your pocket and what it allows you to do as well, right? And it goes kind of back to the credit card, right? So a lot of people buy these meals, put it on their credit card, and then not be able to pay it off. So they're still paying for it months later as well, right? So just something to keep in mind.
Often when times with finances, I say to people, you got to take care of number one. Probably no one else is going to do that for you. If you're lucky, you might have some friends and family that'll help you along the way. But, it's not like the government's going to help you. Your job doesn't care. Your boss doesn't care. Your colleagues and coworkers don't care either for the most part. So you got to be on top of your finances. No one else is going to do it for you. And then the next category, I mean, you raised the point of financing or leasing a car, and I have Ottawa here as a place that you're definitely spending money, or most people are spending money here in North America. It is, again, it's kind of a mix of good and bad spending from my perspective. It's good spending because if you have a car, you can get around easier. I think in a place like Alberta, we even talked about this, it's really hard to live without a car in a city like Calgary. If you want to limit your life to downtown Calgary, that's one thing. But if you want to go to Banff or enjoy yourself or go to a friend's house or whatever, then you're probably going to need a car and to and from work and stuff like that too. It can become bad spending just in the sense of if you don't know what mechanic to go to, then you could end up spending way more than you actually need to get the work done and the maintenance done. It can be bad spending when we buy a new car every single year when we don't have the proper budget for that, or even every 3 years, right? Many people will just trade out one car for another when there isn't maybe the necessity to do that, especially if you're driving like a Toyota. It's probably going to last you a while. So that's something to think about.
Oh, for sure. And, with the North American society, Dave, I think you hit it on the nose is, we're kind of being taught, hey, you need to have the latest, the greatest, the biggest, the baddest.
Yeah.
And if you don't have it, you're not keeping up with the Joneses, and the Joneses are continually getting further ahead of you. So, go buy those things, go get yourself into debt. It's kind of what we're being preached at, but again, we have to do the right things with our money based on what we feel is right for us. We shouldn't be trying to compare our lifestyle to anybody else's lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So, the last one, I think you kind of hit on it as well. You talked about supplements and health and stuff like that. Mine was, going to the gym versus sitting on the couch, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with sitting on the couch and watching a good movie at the end of the night or at the end of the day or on the weekend, but in the same sense, what are you doing to ensure that, your health is number one, right? So I just recently started going to the gym as well. And before I was just working out at home, right? It's free to work out at home. There's no real expenses there. I have already bought all the weights years and years ago. So I had all that stuff, but I knew if I wanted to see the different changes in my body, I had to go to the gym. So, I took advantage, not that I didn't go and pay $300-$500 for a gym pass for a year. My wife worked at a company where they actually supplement your gym pass, and it's really wicked. I only ended up paying $50 for the whole year. So to me, that was a great expense to take on, because $50 to have all the different equipment that's not available to me at home, I think that was a great idea, right? So now it gives me a reason to get off my couch, go outside, meet people, introduce myself to people, work out, watch other people work out, and see what kind of changes they're getting into, and see how I can also make those same kind of changes. And it's a great place to spend your money in the gym, because you are in the end taking care of yourself.
Yeah, I'm somewhat lucky in that I go work out at my buddy's condo complex, so I don't necessarily have to have a gym subscription right now. It's maybe something I'll think about for the future, but for the time being, that works pretty well. And around here, I can still work out at home. I can still go for long walks. There's plenty of paths around here, so that's kind of been my routine as of late. But of course, I'm kind of laying things back as opposed to intensifying things at this exact moment in my life. So there's going to be some differences in that regard. I don't know if we ended up with 10 places. That might have been 8 or 9, but
No, we got 10.
Yeah, we got 10.
We got 10.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Because we had a little bit of overlap.
Well, we had a lot of overlap, but I think we still had enough different examples with those overlaps where I'd like to say we still got 10.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
You know what? Not really. I think, if we're, I guess I do, if we're just kind of watching where we're spending our money, making sure we have enough before we're buying certain things. I think, sometimes people are making impulsive purchases. Maybe try not to make impulsive purchases. Sometimes I know those can get us into trouble. Again, depending on what that expense is. If it's for a purpose and it can serve a purpose and help you make more money, definitely I think it's a great way to spend your money. There's nothing wrong with buying something, just even if it doesn't make you money. I just absolutely nothing wrong with it, as long as you're able to enjoy what you're doing, because again, life is about experiences, I believe, as well. Yeah. And it can't leave with our money anywhere anyway, so we're not born with it and we can't die with it, so we can only give it away. So I think go out there, get those experiences, but find ways to increase your money and have your money work for you versus against you. So that would be my final thought.
Yeah, and I think regular evaluation is a good way to look at your budget and figure out what you're doing. I mean, if you track for a full month, you get a pretty clear picture of where it's going. Personally, I'm a little more liberal with my spending right now. It's not like I'm trying to spend a lot of money. It's just more so that I'm in a new phase and in a different place in life right now, and I'm trying to take a break and regroup and rest up a little bit. So my spending habits are a little bit different, but of course I worked hard to be able to get to that point and to have that kind of freedom too. So now I'm spending some time enjoying it. So this has been Using Your Power. You can find us at usingyourpower.com. Leave a comment, send us a message, download the free audio course, or even buy our paid audio course, which I think you're going to enjoy. And we'll talk to you next time.
Have a great day.